Have you ever stopped and wondered how an AI actually gets it? You know, how it understands language? Well, it turns out the answer has nothing to do with grammar rules or dictionaries. It's all about a huge shift in how we use math, moving away from old school equations and into this strange geometric world that's hidden inside the machine.
For like centuries, when we thought about math, we pictured something like what's on the left, right? Symbols, equations, solving for x. It's all very structured, very logical, and super familiar. But modern AI, the stuff that's powering transformers, it works in a totally different way. It's not about solving for x anymore. It's about navigating a huge, complex, geometric landscape.
So, how in the world does that work? It all starts with a completely new language, the language of vectors. See, when an AI reads a sentence, it doesn't see words like we do. Nope. It translates every single word, every concept, into a very specific mathematical thing called a vector. Okay, think of it like this. Latitude and longitude. Those are just two coordinates, right? And they pinpoint a location on a 2D map. A vector does the exact same thing, but it's working in a space that has thousands of dimensions. So every single concept, from dog to democracy, gets its own unique set of coordinates in this massive meaning space.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. This space, it organizes itself. The AI basically builds a map where the distance between things tells you about their relationship. So concepts like king and queen end up being close neighbors, while something like king and, grapefruit are light years apart. That closeness, that proximity, that's the foundation of how it understands anything.
But this whole idea of a map of meaning brings up a really big puzzle. How can an AI possibly store and keep track of countless different ideas inside a space that's, finite?
Now seriously, think about that for a second. If you were the one designing this system, how would you solve that problem? The most obvious approach seems pretty simple, but it turns out to be completely wrong.
You'd probably think, oh, that's easy. I'll just assign one idea to each dimension. So dimension 1 is for all the finance stuff. Dimension 2 is for politics. Dimension 3 is for weather. You get the picture. A nice, clean, one-to-one list. It just makes logical sense.
But that is not what happens. Not even close. AI figured out a method that is so much cleverer, unbelievably compact, and honestly, kind of mind-bending.
It uses this wild phenomenon called feature superposition. So instead of locking down one dimension for one idea, it really cleverly overlaps many different concepts across every single dimension. Just imagine thousands of radio signals all sharing the same airwaves. To us, it would just sound like static, like total chaos. But the AI knows exactly how to tune in to the one specific signal it needs, which makes the whole system incredibly efficient.
Okay, I know this all sounds super abstract, but we can actually see the incredible logic of this geometric world in action. There's this classic, really famous example that proves just how powerful this whole meaning map idea really is.
All right, imagine this. You start at the point in space that's labeled king. Then you do a little bit of vector math. You take away the direction and distance that represents man, and then you add back the direction and distance that represents woman. Where do you think you're going to land?
You land almost exactly on top of the vector for queen. It's an equation made not of numbers, but of pure concepts. It's like mathematical poetry.
And here, this is the most important part. No human ever taught the AI this relationship. Nobody programmed some kind of royalty rule. The AI figured out these abstract concepts of gender and monarchy all on its own, just by finding geometric patterns inside trillions and trillions of words. You know, when you take a step back and look at the big picture, you realize this isn't just some clever programming trick. What we're actually witnessing here is an evolution in the language of mathematics itself. It's a brand new way to describe our world.
I mean, this journey of abstraction has been going on for centuries. We started way back with ancient algebra, just solving for x. Then we moved to linear algebra in the 19th century, dealing with whole systems of equations. The 20th century gave us vector spaces, which define these abstract geometric worlds. And now, today, AI transformers are literally navigating these spaces to understand meaning. It's just the latest and maybe the most incredible step in this long story.
So AI isn't some kind of magic black box that defies logic. It's pure mathematics. It's just not the math that you and I learned in high school. It's math that has expanded into a higher dimensional reality, a place where geometry itself is what defines meaning.
And that leaves us with this really profound, almost philosophical question.
I mean, if relationships, analogies, and even abstract thoughts can just emerge naturally from the distances and angles between points in space, could it be that intelligence itself is simply a property of high-dimensional geometry? It's something to think about for sure.